The year is 1973. Things are getting weird, but kind of funky. Peter Parker, though, is trying to get out of his funk. And you know, the life of Spider-Man in this time would never be the same. This was the night that Gwen Stacy died. Hell to pay. And the Green Goblin, Norman Osborn, the one to pay it. We're looking at Amazing Spider-Man 121 and 122. And these stories changed the way that we looked at our heroes forever. This is one hell of a story. Jerry Conway wrote it, Gil Kane and John Romita Sr. drew it, and tonight I'm going to tell it. Alright, so we're going to start with Amazing Spider-Man 121, and we're going to look at the cover here, which is telling you from Jump Street, someone's going to die. In the bottom right, you see turning point. And as he's saying, someone close to me is about to die. Someone I cannot save. My spider sense is never wrong, but who? Who? So, there's a lot already telling you to look out for. And look at what it says here in that part around turning point. Not a trick, not an imaginary tale, but the most startlingly unexpected turning point in this web slinger's entire life. How can Spider-Man go on after being faced with this almost unbelievable death? Damn. And look in the bottom, the left there. Don't dare miss this issue's shocking surprise supervillain. All right. So they're really selling it on the cover. And look at all the faces here, you know. And immediately you're trying to, it's like Guess Who. Like that game, Guess Who. All right. Anyways, let's get into the story. So on the splash page, we see here Spidey outside the window checking in on his, I guess, former friend, Harry Osborn, being attended to by some doctor. All right, and you see Mary Jane and Gwen Stacy in the room there. So as he's saying, Harry's in bad shape, all right. Looks like I'm back in New York, not an hour too soon. But take a look at the top right, where it says, there are quite a few things we could say about this issue, but we won't. As for its title, that's something we'd like to conceal for a while, but we promise you this, Pilgrim. It's not a title you'll soon forget. So they're not even giving you the title of this story yet. That's unusual. All right. So this doctor here, attending to Harry Osborn with his drug overdose, as he's saying here, you can see the result. Total clinical, they misspelled psychosis. And then he says, what a layman would call schizophrenia. I mean, why for a layman? I mean, isn't that the medical term? It's a condescending doctor or a total quack. Anyways, I don't trust this dude. And then look what Spidey's saying out there. While I'm off battling the Hulk in Montreal, my roommate drops acid and cracks up. Montreal, man, what do they call him up there? You know, Le Hulk. Incroyable, sacré bleu, mon Dieu. All right. Do they have a superhero in Montreal? Yeah, I don't know. Who would contend with the Hulk in Montreal? I don't know. But Spider-Man went up there. Big up Montreal, though. That beautiful city. All right. Hopefully the Hulk didn't wreck too much of it. You don't want him in your city, no matter where you are. Anyways, Peter Parker checking in on Harry in his civilian wear. And look at this. Norman Osborn just rushing up on him. Just a minute, young man. I told you not to go near my son. And look at him all up in his grill, all sweaty. He's sweating in everything you'll see in these stories. And look at what he's saying here. Mr. Osborn is just irate. Peter Parker's saying, if you want me to go, that's cool. It's your house. You know, that's good dialogue right there. That's cool. That's cool. I'm out of here. You better believe I want you to go, Parker. I don't want to see your face ever again. It's your fault Harry's ill. Your fault these terrible things have happened to my son. Your fault. Your fault. Look at the hatred in his face. Damn. And look at what, in this bottom panel, look at what Peter Parker is saying, what's going through his mind. And as he stares at Norman Osborn's fury-ridden features, Peter finds his mind swirling with memories. Memories of another day, months ago, when he and Osborn faced each other in different guises. Peter Parker as the web-spinning Spider-Man, and Norman Osborn as the Green Goblin. All right, and the Green Goblin here, it says, the only villain who knows Spidey's secret buried with Osborn's memory of his own hidden identity in amnesia. So that's a mess. You know, what does he remember? All right, but look at Peter here. He's bugging out. I don't blame him. This guy's all up in his face. All right, so outside, he's being consoled by Gwen, who feels bad for Harry. Talking about like, oh, all his life he's been pampered. He's always had what he wanted without ever having to work for it. Yeah, and Mary Jane in the corner there, what does she think about it? She just, I don't know, Pete. I just don't. So it's a bad situation all around. Now, for Norman Osborn, he's in dire straits financially, which, given his unstable mind state, any of that coming down on him would crush him. All right, and as he's saying here, all my stocks down another 13%. Do you realize what this means? If it continues, I'll be wiped out. So, he's going to lose it all. And Harry, his son, hearing that, says here, he's concerned about his father. And then in his state himself, dealing with all, and look, he just collapses right in front of his father. So more stress piled on the Green Goblin, Norman Osborn. And Spider-Man, going through his own problems, he's kind of sick. And look at what he's saying here. Never had to swing across town wear me out so much. Must have caught a virus when I was up in Canada. Not used to that kind of 0-degree weather. Well, okay, let me just say something, okay, for my fellow Canadians. All right, it's not like when you cross the border, it's just some frozen tundra with moose and polar bears. Come on, man. I could have gone to the beach the other day. It was beautiful. All right, so don't be putting that out there like that. Anyways, we're good. Too bad, Spider-Man. He caught a cold. But yeah, in his civilian alter ego, Peter Parker here, meeting up with Joe Robertson at the Daily Bugle. And he's sick. And J. Jonah Jameson says, "Get this disease-ridden menace out of my building, Robertson. I'm not going to have my employees claiming days off for sick leave." That's cold-blooded, but that's how he rolls, I guess. But yeah, Peter Parker wants his check, $200. And he just gave some pictures of the Hulk. So get that money for Peter Parker, man. I sympathize. All right. So on his way out here, look, we check in again on the suffering Harry Osborn, where the doctor here has basically said, not much more I can do. And that's it. Pretty much good night. And look at what goes through Norman's mind here. Harry, I'm sorry. I failed you in every way a father can. I should have realized those friends of yours, what they were doing to you. But how could I have known? Our enemies are everywhere. Men trying to ruin me, corrupt you, my only son. Enemies surrounding us. So something's going on in his mind, and as you see here, this iconic panel. Look at this. And then all at once, the delicate tissues of Norman Osborn's memory collapse, and a flood of images, past and present, rush through his pressured brain, reminding him, tormenting him until he can stand it no longer. Look at this picture here. This is great comic art right here. All right. So, like a man ridden by some demon hag, he races from his son's room, runs out into a night moist with the hint of tomorrow's rain. His footsteps make a drumbeat on the cracked pavement of Manhattan's Lower East Side, but he seems literally unaware of the sound, aware only of an inner sound, a long trailing moan, the first beginnings of his ultimate nightmare. And look where he is. This is the place I'd almost forgotten. Okay, so inside you see here, it's all coming back. Spider-Man is my enemy, my mortal foe. Of all the men on Earth, he is the one I must most despise. For he is the man who keeps me from myself. He is the one who made my mind forget that I am the Goblin, the Green Goblin. And because of what he's done to me and to my son, Spider-Man, the cursed Peter Parker, must die. 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 Hot damn. That's good writing right there, isn't it? And listen, let me just say this. On the real, this is the most dangerous situation Peter Parker's ever had. He knows his real identity, and he wants to kill him with every fiber of his being, and he has the means to do it. So this was a collision course from this moment on. All right. And look here. In the apartment Peter shares with Harry Osborn, Gwen Stacy is here, checking in, waiting for Peter. And in the window we see the Green Goblin swoops down. Spider-Man swinging through the city. He's having trouble because of his sickness. Look at him here. Oh boy, almost lost my balance that time in my head. So, he's got to keep it moving. But he's having trouble on his own. But as he gets home, this is what he sees. A pumpkin bomb, and he knows what that means. Oh my Lord. And he, in that moment, knows, because he sees Gwen's handbag, that she was there and that he has her. And Spidey's on the way out. And here it says, now it begins what will soon become the most tormented quest of this young man's adventurous life, and a turning point in a certain costumed hero's tempestuous career. That's big time in it right there. You know this is some real stuff happening. All right. So as he is on the search, on the lookout for Gwen and the Green Goblin, he comes upon the George Washington Bridge, and he sees the Goblin at the top. And here we see, as he says, the Goblin says, Spider-Man, or should I say Mr. Parker, I have your woman up here, my friend. I trust you understand what that means. And we see here things are getting real. An unconscious Gwen Stacy at the feet of a crazed Norman Osborn. And as he says here, it's quite simple, web spinner. Your presence in this world has been a source of constant agony to me. I wish you to leave it permanently, or else Gwen Stacy dies. And Spider-Man rushes in. The kid gloves are off. A bomb, a pumpkin bomb, explodes at the feet of Spider-Man. So it's on. Spider-Man is still struggling, as you see here. He's feeling dizzy. This cold is really beating him up. And he knows he's got to get this over and done with quickly, because there's only so much he can do with as sick as he is. All right. And look at what Goblin says here. Brash fool, your end is near. Why be so blind as not to see it? I love lines like brash fool. I love that. All right, but still, look at this. Spidey thinks he's got him. He's got him webbed. All right, and he knows he's got to make it count. He can't let this fight drag on. Okay, and he says here, I've got to make this count. Okay, Spider strength. If I ever needed you, I need you now. Don't bum out on me. I don't have enough energy for another try. I've got to put everything into this one punch. You understand? Spider strength. Everything I have. Bam, right there. I love this panel. This is beautifully drawn. All right. And as you see, the Goblin falls. All right. But Spider-Man knows, and he says here, I couldn't pack much of a wallop. So he couldn't really put as much as he wanted to into that shot. All right, but he knows he's got to get up to Gwen and check on her. And just as he reaches the top, the Goblin reorganizes himself and comes up upon Spidey saying, you cursed interloper. You'll never take that girl anywhere. She's doomed. Do you hear me? Doomed, and so are you. Bam, and look at that. Gwen Stacy falls off the edge and plunges. Look at that image right there. Spider-Man says, I've got to catch her, to stop her fall before she hits the water. And he does. He did it. And as he brings her up, eventually, reality sets in. And he says, you can't be. You can't be. But it is Gwen Stacy. The Green Goblin comes up behind saying, romantic idiot. She was dead before your webbing reached her. A fall from that height would kill anyone before they struck the ground. But for you, my friend, death will come more quickly and more surely than the shock of a sudden fall. And Spidey saying, wrong, Goblin. You're the creep who's going to pay. I'm going to get you, Goblin. I'm going to destroy you slowly. And when you start begging for me to end it, I'm going to remind you of one thing. You killed the woman I love, and for that you're going to die. And you finally see at the bottom of this page, the title of this issue was The Night Gwen Stacy Died. To be continued. The Green Goblin's Last Stand. That's Amazing Spider-Man 122. After the events of the previous issue, Spider-Man holding Gwen Stacy's lifeless body. As the Green Goblin flying in on his glider says, "Heads up, wall crawler. First, I finished off Gwen Stacy and now it's your turn." And Spidey says, "Wrong, Goblin. You murdered the only girl I'll ever love, and today's the day you're going to die." You never hear Peter Parker speak like that, but after what's happened, we can't be too surprised. This is maybe my favorite cover of all Spider-Man covers, perhaps. All right, I just think it's iconic in every way. Also, maybe the most important issue in Spider-Man history. Let's get right into it. All right, and you see here on top of the George Washington Bridge, just like the cover, holding her body, as they say here. She's dead, Spider-Man. The woman you love is dead. There's nothing you or any other costumed interloper can do to revive her. But don't worry, my fine foe. You'll not be long apart. Soon, you shall join her beyond death. Okay. But look at this shot. The bridge and the city behind it. Yeah, pretty impressive stuff. We know things are only going to get realer from here. And Spider-Man, swings down, laying Gwen's body on a pier. And the fact that she didn't just die, he says, she didn't just die, you killed her. And he's got to get back into it with the Goblin. Okay? So for me, that just makes you guilty, and for it you're going to pay. But see, the Goblin, he's not just going for it. Okay? But as they talk in this battle on top of the cables on this bridge, Spider-Man gets a hold of him with the leg scissors around his neck, okay, and starts pounding on him. All right, a weasel caught in a fatal trap, a weasel who's about to be destroyed. Listen to Spider-Man. And Goblin can barely speak. He squeaks out a no. Spider-Man knows he's got him where he wants him. Okay? And he's saying, "Do I hear you begging, Goblin? Don't make me sick, friend. Why should I show you any mercy? What mercy did you show Gwen? Answer me that, Green Goblin. Answer me that." And look at I don't know if I'd call it fear on the face of the Goblin. And he continues here, "Answer me," as the Goblin flies his glider into one of those cables, knocking Spidey for a loop. All right. And Goblin makes his escape at that point. So Spidey, realizing, what about Gwen? And he checks down and he sees the police. So he swings down, knowing that the police and maybe reporters and other people just gathering around. He jumps in the middle of it. The cops are there. He says, "Back off, cop. Nobody goes near this lady. You hear me? Nobody." And somebody in the background saying, "It's true what they say. He's a maniac." And look at what Spidey says. "Right on, mister. He doesn't disagree at this point. And look at this cop on the right. He's enraged. Let go of me, Sarge. Don't you see he must have killed her? And this cop's saying, I don't see anything of the kind, rookie. I see a man in pain, and that's what you'd see if you had eyes. All right, good looking out. But yeah, Spidey having to deal with this grief under these conditions. And look at what he's going through, his reminiscing. I'm going to read these boxes. As it was before, he remembers the day he first met Gwen Stacy, his first day at college. They'd each been unsure of each other's feelings, each unwilling to take that first awkward step, until miraculously the step was taken and they found themselves in love. Ooh-wee, there you go. But the happiness, the tragedy, in a rush, it all comes back to him. The evening Gwen's father died, and Spider-Man was blamed. Blamed for the death of a man he'd almost loved, Captain Stacy, who died trying to save a child. Yes, he remembers the sorrow and the self-pity, the joy, the fear, and through it all, a part of it all, he remembers Gwen. By the way, Captain Stacy died in Spider-Man 90. That was a few years before this. And that was a pretty significant death as well. All right. So, this is a great panel, by the way. You got to appreciate the artistry of this and the storytelling all on one page. So much, you can tell so much from it. And there's a lot of emotion to all of it. This is terrific work. My goodness. All right. And this is a really important panel here. Gwen, as much a victim of Spider-Man's lifestyle as Peter Parker. Didn't his specter keep them apart? Wasn't it Spider-Man who stood between them and happiness? Till in the end, he stood between Gwen and life. Well, hadn't he? Hadn't he? Damn, I mean, this is one of the clearest examples of a hero's secret identity being the Achilles heel. And I mean, at this point, I don't think that had ever been exploited to this degree in comics. I don't know, maybe there's other ones, but not to this caliber, that's for damn sure. And look at this panel. I mentioned the artistry of the previous panel. Back, like this one as well. Look at that. I love the floating heads. Gil Kane is a master of that kind of stuff, man. Yeah, this is great storytelling right here. Fantastic. All right. So, back on the pier. Spidey's dealing with these cops getting all up in his grill. The ambulance, look at this. I hate to do this to you, but the ambulance is here. Ambulance, she doesn't need an ambulance. She's dead, and Spider-Man killed her. We know what he means. Don't know if he should have said it in front of these cops, because the cops are now saying, yeah, did you hear that? I heard it. Just shut up. And then they're going to try to take him in. All right, rookie, have it your way. You're going to have to come with us, Spider-Man, for questioning. And Spider-Man's not going to have that. Okay? And as he gets rushed by one of these cops, he just flings him. Okay? Stuff it. I told you I'm busy. And he's not having that. He swings away, and the cop starts shooting at him. Okay? And look at what the cop here says. Shoot to wound, blast it. Shoot to wound. That's easy to say. if it's a regular person. But Spider-Man, if you're gonna hit him, like, he's swinging all over the place. He's a hard target, man. All right. Anyways, luckily he doesn't get hit. But look at this, Peter Parker getting out of his Spider-Man wear, and he is possessed almost. Look at his face here. I love the facial expressions drawn by Gil Kane and John Romita, also Tony Mortarello, I should say. Yeah, let me mention him too. But yeah, this is fantastic work. It says so much. Look at his face as he checks in on Harry Osborn, going up the stairs here. He enters the room, and Harry Osborn just reacts and recoils in fear, almost, tripping on the acid he dropped yesterday. Okay. And Harry doesn't recognize Peter Parker at first. He even asks, I don't know you. Oh, sure, you're Peter. You are Peter, aren't you? And Peter, almost with disdain, says, that's right, Harry, I'm Peter. And you're absolutely no use to me at all. For that matter, you're not even much use to yourself. So long, Harry. I've got more important things to do than hold your hand. And he walks away. And Harry says, Peter, wait. You're walking away. Don't walk away, please. And even more, everyone's left me and I'm all alone. Peter, please. Peter, help me. And Peter Parker, he's going through his own trauma, and I don't think he can deal with more, right? And again, he's saying, so now it comes down to it, doesn't it, Peter? Do you stay and help your friend, or do you go find revenge? Simple, vicious revenge. Not much of a contest, is there? Okay, and then again, Harry isn't able to really function here. Peter, don't go, Peter. If you leave, how can I be sure you were even here or ever here? And if you're not here, how can I be sure I am? And he doesn't want to go too deep into that spiral. Man. And then he crawls out, still begging Peter, and Peter won't stop. He's got that laser-like focus. All right. Now, back at the Daily Bugle, Robbie Robertson learns of Gwen Stacy's death. And Spider-Man checks in. He's in need of information. And he's in need of a bit of help. And he wants to know some of the properties, maybe, that Norman Osborn might be in possession of. And if he's been anywhere in those areas in the past hour or so. With a bit of time, Robbie Robertson gets in some information. He owns a warehouse somewhere where they identify exactly where it is. And here comes J. Jonah Jameson. Okay? And look at this line. I love this line. Well, if it isn't Mr. Charisma 1973. Really dates the issue when you throw that out there, doesn't it? And Jameson believes that Spider-Man truly is a murderer after all that happened on that pier with those cops. Okay? But Robertson knows the truth. All right. And, Spider-Man's just not having it today. So he just webs up Jonah's mouth. And look at the expression on Jonah's face. That's excellently portrayed. Okay? Okay. So, moving on out of there. Spider-Man's got bigger fish to fry, doesn't he? But there's other things going on as well. Other things afoot. While our morose hero makes his way downtown, let us move ahead of him somewhat. To a certain ill-kept warehouse in an area of the city moist with the Hudson River breeze. A warehouse whose crumbling facade hides a sinister purpose. Which purpose we are soon to discover as we move into the recesses of the dusty building, past crates and boxes long overdue for delivery, to the single square of illumination in these shadowed halls, a door slightly ajar, and a man slightly mad. How is that for an introduction to this scene? Damn, that's beautiful. And again, look at what Norman himself is saying. He's talking to himself here. He knows that Spider-Man's on his way, okay? And he's just getting himself ready. All right. So, he hears a sound, and he knows that Spider-Man has arrived. And as he says here, no doubt my wall-crawling foe expects to ambush me. If so, he's a greater fool than I've imagined. For a while, he guards the front. I shall exit through the rear and take him from the side. But Spider-Man is ready for him. Look at this kick that Spider-Man comes in with. Tonight, it's my game, and we play by my rules. Damn, I love it. I love it, Spider-Man. That's a beautiful shot right there. All right. Moving on. Look at this. Goblin fires off one of his finger lasers, and he's not impressed with what Spider-Man's doing. But look at this. Spider-Man crushes part of his glider, landing on it here. And look at what Goblin says. My jet flyer, you unthinking fool. You've ruined it. You unthinking fool. Well, that was a good move. All right. And he's mad. But of course, Spider-Man is on a mission. He will not be denied. You killed my woman Goblin, and you're raging about a blasted bargain basement toy? Let's get our priorities straight, punk. There's a big difference between a fancy gimmick and a human life. And Goblin responds in a way that I don't know if he could have said anything to save him, but he shouldn't have said this. Life. You talk to me of life? What worth is there in the paltry existence of one useless female? A simpering, pointless girl who never did more than occupy space. What you... all right. And Spider-Man obviously can't let him continue running his mouth like that. Spider-Man just dives in and starts wailing on him. Look at these shots. I love the work here, the artwork here. Spider-Man just grabs him by the collar, okay? You're talking about my lady, creep. Someone I love, I mean loved. You know what that means? Have you any idea what that means? I loved her, Goblin, and you took her away. Filthy, worm-eating scum. And then Spider-Man seems to kind of pop out of whatever rage he was in and says, good Lord, what in the name of heaven am I doing? In another moment, I might have killed him. I would have become like him, a murderer. And he's not really paying attention, okay, as the Goblin's damaged glider wakes up, I guess. The Goblin bringing it towards him. His spider sense is a bit off today. He's off his game. Okay, but still, this scene, if you see here, he's closing in on the goblin, and behind him, he doesn't realize until the last minute, and he says, "My spider sense, it's tingling. Something behind me," and then he ducks. The glider rockets into the Green Goblin's chest, impaling him, pinning him to the wall. And it says, "So do the proud men die, crucified not on a cross of gold, but on a stake of humble tin." All right, and he falls to the ground in a heap. Spider-Man saying he's dead. Somehow, I thought it would mean more. When a man dies, even a man like the Goblin, it should mean something. It shouldn't just be an accident. A stupid, senseless accident. It's got to have a point. So it doesn't just mean we live in vain. Funny, I thought seeing the Goblin die would make me feel better about Gwen. But instead, it just makes me feel empty, washed out, and maybe just a little bit more alone. After all this, we have the epilogue. And it says here, Mary Jane Watson has waited several hours for someone to return to the shared apartment of Peter Parker and Harry Osborn. But still she's startled when she hears the sound of a key and sees the haunted form of a man she knows as Pete. And Peter Parker is just not in the mood. As she says, "Hey, Petey, I heard about Gwen. I'm really torn up." And he just, "You torn up? Don't make me laugh, Mary Jane. You wouldn't be sorry if your own mother died. What do you care about straights like me and Gwen? Go on, get out of here. I know how you hate sickbeds. And believe me, I wouldn't want to spoil your fun." And in tears and in silence, Mary Jane, for a moment, hesitates by the door. Absolutely beautiful stuff. This is how you end a story. This is incredible work. The death of Green Goblin, I think, was portrayed with gravity. It understood the assignment. We won't talk about what's happened with Norman Osborn and Gwen Stacy in modern times. We don't need to worry about all that. Okay? At the time, this story had it all. Beautiful, beautiful storytelling. The art lived up to the words. The words lived up to the art. I wasn't around when these issues dropped, so I can't fully get how impactful it must have been for the readers of 1973. But I can only imagine how this absolute masterpiece of comic art and storytelling must have felt when taking it in for the first time. Peter Parker, Spider-Man, the Amazing Spider-Man, the most human of heroes, and everything that comes with that.